Welcome to the R2RB podcast series, where we dive deep with indie music artists from around the world to discover the stories behind their career. I'm Deb LaMotta, your host, and this show is all about the indie artist's journey, their influences, creative process, and the experiences that shape their music. Each episode will get to know these talented musicians on a personal level while highlighting their incredible music they're creating. So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's explore the world of independent music together on the R2RB podcast series. Welcome to the R2RB podcast series, and today my guest is Michael Botte of the Michael Botte Band. Michael, how are you?
Deb, it is always good getting to talk to you. We've chatted over the years. You've been one of my biggest supporters. I hope I'm one of your biggest supporters, so thank you so much for bringing me back onto the show.
You are so welcome, and absolutely. I love the support that I get from the indie community. All right, so a little background on you. You were born and raised in a small steel town along the Ohio River outside of Pittsburgh, and you eventually landed in Philly. You also resided in California for some time. What were you doing in California during your time there?
Loving life.
Really?
So it was interesting. My wife and I were living, where were we? We were living in Madison, Wisconsin. My wife wanted to go to graduate school. She has a master's degree in special education, working with kids who are blind and visually impaired. And San Francisco State happened to have one of the best programs. So she one day said, "Hey, do you want to move to San Francisco?" And I said, yes. That's how we got there.
Were you doing music at that time?
So yeah, that's actually where I met. That's where I met the guy who actually taught me how to play the guitar. This traveling cat named Sebastian Beltrami from Melbourne, Australia. Still one of my best friends to this day. He was traveling through, and he was a good guitar player. And I told him that I had tried this once before, and he was like, "Look, man, let's hang out and hook up, and I'll teach you some things." He became one of my best friends ever. He's the one who taught me how to play the guitar.
I don't think I've heard that before, and we've spoken many times. So things.
Yeah.
And Michael Botte Band was born during COVID-19, during the craziness. What was the inspiration during such a crazy time for you?
Yeah, you probably heard this story before. I mean, COVID affected different people in different ways. And I guess negatively, COVID was very, very unkind to me and my family. However, positively, it gave me a lot of material to write about and to make music about. So my daughter was a drummer in a couple different bands at a local rock school, Let There Be Rock. And like when quarantine came, everything kind of shut down, as you know, and I wasn't traveling for work and taking her places and doing all this stuff. She said, "Dad, are you ever going to try to make music?" And I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know what making music for real meant. I'm the guy in the corner playing the guitar, singing songs for decades, but I didn't know what she meant by making it. So over the quarantine, I had nothing but time to study and learn how to make demos and how to record. And I finally, put my demos out on all these different Facebook groups and found my producer. And then things just took off from there. And here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Was there a moment when you were going through that craziness that you knew that the indie artist in you, that's what you wanted to do?
No. So when I first started, we talked about this before, music is my therapy. So
Right.
I just had things to say.
Yes.
And people, do different things to maintain their, mental clarity. And for me, writing and playing guitar is just something I've done for many, many years. So I was just writing about all the stuff that happened to us over COVID and over quarantine. It was very, very unkind to my family. So I had all this material, and then they, all these songs. And then I never realized you could put them out there and do stuff with them. I had no idea that that was a thing. I really didn't. So I just learned and studied. So I had no idea what was going to happen or where this was going to go. But look where it's taking me. I get to talk to you.
Right. Absolutely. And we've got the Michael Botte Band, and that is really awesome. So in a recent post, you said you make music for two reasons. Music is your therapy and to be heard. And can you tell us more about how music has served as therapy for you?
Yes, certainly. We alluded a little bit earlier. So there are a lot of different, strategies people have to maintain their mental health. Some people might use proper medication. Some may use, proper exercise or a diet or, therapy from a licensed therapist, many different things you can do. And maybe I do a couple of those things, here and there. But for me, just, writing and playing is always something that's just how I make it through the day, how I get my thoughts out there and my emotions. And they talk about how music, right, is the sound of emotion. So it's pretty literal for me because when you listen to the different time periods of when I've written songs, you could certainly get a feeling for like what I was thinking and feeling at that moment in time. And, a big musician once said that, songwriting is open heart, surgery, right? You're letting someone into your heart and soul for a moment in time. So it's always been a form of therapy for me. It really has. I'm so lucky that I have something like this that could serve that function. If I didn't, I'm not sure where things would be. So I'm very fortunate that this can serve as therapy for me.
Yeah, and that's awesome because me on the other side, listening to music when I'm up or I'm down or I just want to, take a ride and roll down the windows and, blast music in the car. Music has so many different sides to it, and the therapy, for me as well, being on the other side. And so I'm always so grateful to all the indie artists that are there that I didn't even know, was a thing, indie artists, until I, moved to Delaware. It's like indie artists, but I am so grateful to be part of the community. And here we are. So the other part of that post, which really, caught me, besides the therapy part, was that you had said, that you make music to be heard. And we all want to be heard. We just said that earlier before we started this. But what does that mean to you as an indie artist?
Yeah, to be heard. So when I first started making music, of course, it was mostly for my therapy. And then, like we discussed earlier, I didn't realize that you could actually put it out there. Well, if you put it out there, in my opinion, you want to be heard. Otherwise, it would just stay on my hard drive, stay on my computer, and it be maybe fun for a couple friends or a few family members. Like maybe my mom might like to listen to it. But when I realized that, like with the click of a button, I could send my song to every corner of the universe, the globe, I should say. And that's actually true. It's literal. You could send it to every corner of the globe. I thought, oh my goodness. Well, now not only is my therapy, but I want to be heard as well. That's why why I'm doing this as well. But it's tough, man. If you look at, there's so many different reports and websites, but roughly 100,000 songs a day are uploaded to the, streaming services. So, a little indie guy like me that just started this whole gig, a few years ago, it's so easy to get lost in that vast musical wash. And you know what I'm talking about. You're in the same boat a little bit. There's a lot of folks that do what you do as well. It's tough to get heard. It's a grind. It is a continual grind. I never realized that being an indie artist had so much to do with, and a producer friend of mine, D-Ray, the producer, says it's 10% skill or talent. It's 90% marketing and promotion.
Right? Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. I'm learning that. I'm not sure if it's 90-10, but it's certainly, there's so much on the promotion and marketing side just to have a few people hear you.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to be consistent, right?
Yeah, it's a grind. It takes a lot of time. Thankfully, if you have a professional suite like in Facebook, like I'm verified and have the professional page, you get the Meta Business Suite, which helps you schedule posts and schedule things. So I'm not sitting there all week. I'm doing things on the weekend. It may look like I'm on there all day during the week, but I do all my stuff on Saturday and Sunday mornings. I schedule for the weeks. Thankfully, they give you tools to try to just keep up, but it's a grind. But hey, that's just part of it. What a great hobby I have. I mean, I will take this as a hobby if this is what I have to do.
That's what you're destined to do. Well, you do a great job at your hobby, let me tell you.
Thank you. I'm trying. It's a great hobby. I joke that this is my rock and roll fantasy, although I had a couple little accolades here and there over the years that kind of make it a little more real than just a fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, going back to the statement of, you wanting to be heard, because that can be discouraging. And you have been in the business for a long time. You've been an indie artist, since COVID, but always a musician much longer than that. Yeah. So getting to this point, wanting to be heard. And I know that we all don't want to look at the numbers all the time, because that could really make you crazy. Yeah. But like you said, you still want to be heard, and you have to look at those numbers sometimes because it is a business. In that same post, you also talked about the sync business. What's that about?
Yeah, music sync licensing. I'm kind of a little bit new to it, but I've learned quite a bit, since I've started. We'll talk about COVID quarantine again. Over that period, a lot of musicians, not only just indie, but, the big folks too, the gigs were canceled, their tours were canceled, they weren't doing things. The idea of recording, making music, and then submitting it to music supervisors or movie houses or publishing houses to where you can get your songs into film, TV, movies, that kind of thing, really exploded, because that was one of the few avenues to get heard and maybe make a buck or two. So it really exploded. The good news is that it exploded to that there's so many, services and sites available to people like me that you could submit your music and hopefully get placed somewhere. Yeah, I did have a little bit of luck. One of my songs, Beautiful Day, it's more of a country rock song when I first started. I think it was was the maybe it was the fourth song I did. I can't even remember. More in that country rock realm. And it did actually chart at number one in the world indie music chart, which was
Right.
just fantastic. For someone like me, that's really big, right?
Right.
But that got selected as one of 10 songs to be considered to be placed with all kinds of different shows within different networks. I can't remember all the networks. I know it was in that post, but at least I'm one step closer to get into that world and like dipping my toe into that world, which for me is maybe not easier, but maybe a better way to get heard.
And do you do this then yourself? Do you submit all your work to wherever you need to submit it to for the sync work?
Yeah, there's a lot of different websites like, Taxi or Broadjam, all these different sites where you become a member, and it's not free. You have to pay for the service, but then I now have access to submit my songs to numerous opportunities. I might probably submitted at least 100 times already. Maybe that's kind of sad. I've submitted over 100 and maybe got one nibble. So that'll give you an idea of how hard it is.
Yeah. Well, it has to be a much larger pool too to get in there versus an indie artist who also is a large pool as well. So just another avenue.
Yep.
Are you going to combine that with still doing your songwriting and releasing your singles or?
Yeah. I'm still, so the good news, some people will write music, specifically for certain opportunities. Whereas for me, I'm just writing music, whatever I feel, think, whatever I'm going through at that moment in time. If by chance that happens to fit something that's a movie, TV, film, something of that nature, commercial, great. But I don't necessarily write for that. I just hope maybe there's an opportunity where one of my songs does match. And I found, quite a few that do possibly match. I haven't been selected just yet. I have a couple opportunities that are still pending. The deadline hasn't hit yet. But I'm just going to write what I think and feel. And if it works out to where it works out for a music supervisor, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So we're going to keep an eye on you. We're going to look at those credits rolling.
Yes.
I love it. All right. You've done all your promotion. Have you had help doing promotions?
So I've done all of my promotions all by myself. However, I did have a couple of radio promoters along the way. One of them, Caden Gordon, is a young gentleman who works really hard in the country rock world. You probably know Caden. I had another promoter that helped me with Beautiful Day to get that onto the number one, world indie music chart. I was signed to a record company for a period of time. It didn't work out exactly how I had hoped and how the contract was written. So I quickly dissolved that. So I guess I thought I was going to get a little help doing some promotion, but it didn't work out that way. But for me, I just like to do it myself. I've built a lot of relationships, with people like you. That's why I'm here today, because I know you. No one told you to come to me or me to you. We knew each other over the years. Right. So I like to do some things myself and build the relationships. Does that mean I won't have a promoter doing anything in the future? I don't know. But for now, I'm just having fun doing it myself.
Well, what would you say to a new indie artist starting out and looking at an independent record label?
Oh boy, that's probably a whole nother interview.
Probably.
Here's what I would say. One thing that I learned. So when I first started, I thought I was going to do everything. I thought I was going to be the self-contained unit. I was going to write, record, produce, mix, master, promote everything by myself. And I actually did that. I released an EP. It's a 5-song EP that no one ever heard, because when I released it, like a day or two, or maybe a week after, I then met my producer. So I ripped that EP out of the universe before anyone got a chance to listen to it. So I did that. I did all that whole thing. And I just learned that once I met my producer, it just taught me that, okay, I'm not talented enough to do all of these things. So if you're a new indie artist like I was, if you think you could do everything, fantastic. You're better than I am. But my goal, I want to stay in my lane. I want to write and I want to play the songs. I want to arrange the songs. I have to do that creative process. I have a producer now, Bob Beals from Sound Foundation Studios, who is just a gift from God. He's been doing this for 40 plus years, behind the desk, in front of the desk. He's everything about music. And we just completed, I think we had a release a couple weeks ago. I think that's our 12th release, maybe 13th. I can't even remember. So I did learn to stay kind of in that lane where I'm not going to produce and mix and master. That's what I learned from me. And then of course, the promotion side I like to do myself. So maybe just kind of see where your talent lies, see what you like to do. If you can do everything, great. If you can't, don't be afraid to arm yourself with people that can help you, which is why I am called the Michael Botte Band and not just Michael Botte, because I knew I'm going to have people in my corner. So I wanted to pluralize, if you will,
there you go,
my name. And I did this great thing, Deb, where you put my name, put the word band, and it just became this vast object. project.
But it works. It absolutely works. And two points. You mentioned that you have subscriptions, I guess, to the sync licensing to submit, and the business side of being an indie artist, because there is a business side. Do you feel that you need to put time, and not only your time, but money into your business to, get back from what you put into it?
Yeah, you'll hear a lot of people talk about how, an indie artist, let's just say it takes $1,000 to produce a song, which, that's pretty cheap these days. I mean, you go to Nashville, probably $4 or $5 to produce a song. You have that. Unfortunately, it takes, 5, 6, 10 times that to promote the song. So that's where it gets really difficult. A lot of people will concentrate so much on the front end, and you forget about all this back end stuff. You could have the greatest song in the world, Deb, but if no one hears it, what is it? I mean, unless you just want to make it for your therapy and keep it on your hard drive, and that's fine. But generally, people don't do that. If you go and produce a song and pay the money for it, you want to be heard. It's just unfortunate. It just takes a lot of time, money, and energy. I've taken a lot of time to, do what I'm doing. There's some money that I spent that I wish I could get back now, knowing what I know now. But isn't that true of any new endeavor?
Absolutely.
You just don't know what you don't know, and you're going to have some casualties and some sunk costs along the way.
That's right.
But I learned.
And you learn from it all.
I learned.
I do have here about Beautiful Day being considered for placement with major networks like Discovery, PBS, MTV, and NASCAR.
That sounds about right. I think that's what they said.
I just think that's so cool. I mean, did you get an email? Did somebody call you?
Yeah, so Broadjam will tell you like, hey, congratulations, your song has been, considered or selected. And then they'll put you in touch with, the music supervisor or whatever publishing house is kind of, working on that. And then there's just a whole email train, and they explain the deal and what it means and all this, business side stuff and exclusive, non-exclusive, all that kind of stuff. And then you either agree or not agree. And I said, yeah, I agree, because I just like the way the terms were written. It wasn't exclusive. I wasn't locked in for, 5 years. I did have one other opportunity where I had to give the publishing house my song, but it had to be exclusive for 5 years. Oh, wow. And that made me nervous. I thought, well, we've never worked together. I don't know what you do. And not that my songs are making any money right now, but I just 5 years seems like a long period of time. So I actually declined that offer, but this was a non-exclusive. So why not?
It just makes smart business sense, actually, and again, you gotta look at the business side of it as well. How do you keep yourself motivated to get through all your ups and downs?
So people like you, because I will tell you, it's, the accolades are very few and far between. It's a tough gig, right? But I, very fortunate that the radio stations play my music, and, people like you want to interview me. And I've been very fortunate to get into a bunch of different magazines, and those little accolades, those little steps forward help me just keep moving and making music. And my producer and I are already through our song for January of 2026. We just completed that song. So I'm already ahead of the game. I got to keep moving. It's always going to be my therapy. So that'll always be probably the best motivator. But, folks like you and the radio stations really just make it, worth the effort.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that you're not ready to give it all up, because I would be very sad.
Nope.
So how would you describe your overall musical style, and what influences shape that sound?
Well, that's a good question. It's strange because it's changed quite a bit from when I started. So when I first started, I don't know why. My producer and I still don't know why, but we just kind of fell into that country rock genre. The way I was writing, I guess just, where his head was, what he heard in the songs and the arrangements, it lent itself to that kind of country rock. And that went through, I think My Way was the last song in that realm. And then Radiate came out, and I really wanted to move more to like a alt pop rock kind of genre, because even though the country rock thing kind of got me to wherever I am today, but it did open some doors. It just wasn't where my heart was. I don't think it just matched where I wanted to be. So I went into more of that, alt pop rock, which was Radiate, and I got a song. And then I switched again and went into more like a modern heavy rock, which I really dig. And that's kind of what we're working on now. My next release in September will be more of that modern, heavy rock, even though I just did a pop rock song, Shine Down, with a bit of an R&B twist. Right. So Deb, I don't know how to answer your question. I don't know.
Well, I say this about indie artists and genres. I think that's one of the beautiful things of being an indie artist. You don't have to be in one genre. You can cross them over. You can stick to one lane or combine them, or do whatever you feel like doing, like you do, whatever, whatever therapy you need at that time, be it, country rock, pop rock, rock.
Exactly. It's whatever, whatever I feel. And I will say it's nice because now I have different radio stations that focus on, more of a modern rock or a hard rock or versus more of like a pop rock or more of like I have one radio station, radio trop rock. They like more island kind of stuff. So I have something kind of for everybody, which is kind of cool.
You do. You even have the one song with that little reggae in there.
Yeah, Dance with Your Shadow. Yeah, that was one of the. I put a reggae beat in a song. Who does that?
Michael Botte does.
I guess I do. I
remember when you were promoting that one, and it was like, oh, well, that's different.
I was listening to a lot of the Police when I wrote that, and I don't know. They had a lot of the reggae beat influence from Bob Marley, who came over into London and England. And I told my producer, I said, look, I want to put a reggae beat into a song with a big fat chorus, and we did. And that was it.
And I think on the other side of that too, with your pop rock, your country rock, the reggae, I mean, you just reach a whole larger audience, right? Listeners?
Yeah, you have potential. Certainly, yeah, potential. Like I said, some shows and some stations are more based in certain types of music. So absolutely. And it's just fun to just play different things. I mean, I applaud musicians. I know that whenever we go hear our favorite bands, we want to hear the same songs over and over again. We all do that, right? But like, I'm the guy that doesn't mind when they branch out and do something that all the critics hate, but I know what that's like creatively to be like, man, I want to do something different. I just do.
I like that you do.
Thank you. Good. You're the one person who does. That's all that matters right now.
I'm it. That's it. What's been the biggest surprise or challenge about the music industry that you didn't expect when you started?
The damn marketing and promotion. I didn't know. I thought you push the button on DistroKid and it goes out to every service in the world, Spotify, Amazon, whatever. And then just people listen to it. That's just absolutely not even remotely close to how this works. And like everyone, like a million people would just listen to it tomorrow and all email me and tell me how freaking great I am. It's not even remotely close to how this gig works. It takes months and months for me even to break through that like 1,000 stream barrier, which was like such a, the first rite of passage. But just fortunately, I didn't realize how hard that was. And I also didn't realize how many outlets like radio stations there were for people like me. I had no idea there were literally thousands of stations who, if they like my stuff, will play me. And I did not know that. So that was equally as good of a surprise that, there was an outlet like what you're doing for people like me. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Looking ahead, what does success look like for Michael Botte? Is it about securing the TV placement, expanding your streaming audience, or something else entirely?
Well, those two things, yes. But I want to be involved. I want to be around the indie community. You may not know this, but I'm now an official ISSA rep for the Philadelphia region, International Singer-Songwriters Association, which is just such a wonderful association that I discovered a couple years ago. I got to win an award last year in Atlanta for Best Emerging Artist. Can't wait to go back to Atlanta this year in August. I'm nominated for 4 more awards this year. So I just want to be involved. I also host a podcast through Blast Music 247. It's the Blaster Rock and Metal podcast, which I have so much fun doing. We're on a bit of a hiatus right now. Okay. But like hosting a podcast, being involved in ISSA, making music, getting heard on the radio, streaming, sync licensing. I just want to be involved. I want to be around.
Continually. Just continue, right? Just keep on adding on to it. Well, that's good. Well, let me ask this question though. How do you balance everything? Because you have a family, you have a job, you have your music. How do you do it?
I do. I'm very fortunate that, I have a very understanding wife who knows that this is something that I just got to do. Baby girl's in college now. She's out of the house. She has her own place. So, she's not as dependent on dad right now, which is sad as that makes me.
Right.
But hey, you got to go with it and you got to, work with it. So I do have more time on my hands now than I did before. Wife has a full-time career. She does her thing. So a lot of what I do is really on the weekends. I spend a lot of time, Sunday, Saturday mornings, my dogs have me up early because they want to do their thing. So I'm over coffee in the morning, just quiet time, doing my music stuff. And I do my best to get as much as I can done in that time frame, not to steal, time from other, things. And I work a full week, of course, and I travel a lot for work as well. Matter of fact, I'll be in Chicago next week for work. So yeah, it's a tough gig, but I'm really good at time management and I know my time and place and when things have to get done. I just being a professional and being on this earth for all these years, I've just learned a thing or two on how to manage the time. So I can do it.
That's good because that's important.
Oh, 100%. It's tough because you get overwhelmed. Right. You get overwhelmed. Like I know that I have 2 more reels to make from 2 radio stations that just picked me up. I know I have to do it. And tomorrow morning over coffee, I will do that before I start my workday.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
don't forget to take that self-care day.
Yes.
All right. So what would you say to other independent artists who feel like giving up and struggling to be heard?
You got to go back to your why. I mean, you're going to get rejected. People, I had one musician who's traveled the globe for music tell me that every artist writes the greatest song of the world. Your song, it's your baby. It's the greatest song that's ever been written.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, a lot of people may not agree with you. Even though it doesn't matter, you think it's the greatest song in the world. To that end, you got to go back to your why. Like, why are you doing it? And thank God for me, it is my therapy. So I don't have a choice anymore, Deb. Like, I have to.
Absolutely.
Thank God I have at least 30 songs in my book that I still have to go through. Like, I wrote a lot. So I have a lot of therapy to go through.
Good.
So you got to go back to your why. And why are you doing this? And is that why no longer valid? Is it no longer real? Well, then maybe you do something else. Maybe there's a different form of art that you want to do. Maybe it's not musical. Maybe it's more something else. I don't know. You got to go back to your why and ask yourself why you're doing this. And for me, it's therapy. I don't have a choice. I got to make it.
So what can listeners expect from Michael Botte in the coming months? Any new music projects? We know the sync licensing is working for you.
Absolutely. So last release was June 13th, Shinedown, my kind of Lenny Kravitz inspired pop rock tune. However, my next release, it's mid-September. I don't know the exact date. Mid-September will be more of like a modern kind of rock. I was listening to a lot of a band called Incubus. A lot of effects, heavy distorted guitars. So that's going to be more of like an Incubus realm. That'll come out mid-September. It's a song called If I Asked You. And it's been done for a couple of years. It's been kind of in the can, and I've been waiting for the right time to release it. So Bob and I produced that probably a year and a half or 2 years ago. It's just been sitting there waiting for the right time. Well, September's the right time. And then after that, like I said, we have releases already done through January, and we're going to start the March release next week. So the point is, you're going to keep hearing from me whether you like it or not, because I'm not stopping.
Good. So good. Because when I'll go back to the beginning, when I saw that post about music is your therapy and that you just want to be heard, and you went on to say a few other things, I was like, oh my God, he better not be saying that he's done. Like, oh,
nope, I don't have a choice. I'm in now. I'm in.
We're stuck with you.
Yeah, we're stuck with each other. Yeah.
How's your relationship with music changed from when you first started to now?
It's kind of my producer and I just had this conversation. So, I still listen to music every single day. I mean, I was just, before we did this, I was listening to one of my favorite bands of all time, Silverchair, before we were doing this. And so I joke with my producer that he kind of ruined me a little bit, because now when I listen to music and I kind of dig it, I don't listen from a music appreciation standpoint. I listen from a songwriting standpoint and a mixing standpoint and a mastering and like an arrangement. Like, why they arrange it there? No, the high frequencies too much there. Was that overcompressed? So now I have this technical mind a little bit, not like I can do any of this, but I have a bit of an ear, and I listen to music like, why'd they go up there? Why was the bridge so long? It's not fun sometimes. It's not. So I got to get that out of my head and stop doing that, because I didn't write the song. Doesn't matter. I didn't write it. So it's changed a little bit in that regard. And then it's also changed now that I've really, I'm immersed in this indie community. The talent level of the music that I listen to, especially in ISSA, the Rick Spin show and all the radio shows, it is mind-boggling, the talent level of some of these people who are now part of my musical family. And I'm going to say this as respectful as I can. It's the best music you'll never hear. And it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Because it's unfair. I wish it were a talent contest, because my friends would win. But it's not a talent contest, as we just discussed earlier. It's 10-20%. I don't know. I'm making it up, talent, and 80-90% promotion. I'm making that up, but you know what the point is. You understand what I mean. It's the best music you'll never hear, and it makes me sad.
That's a great point to make, because the indie artists really do not get heard like they should.
No.
There's not enough mainstream radio shows that do the indie artist music, and there's still not enough online radio shows that do the indie artist music. So, which is an additional platform that needs to be used more. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I agree. It is a sad situation.
Yep, and I see these people. I see them burning for their craft, and they work so hard, and There's not much, at the end of the day, it's just not a whole lot there. But thankfully, I'll get to share time with a lot of these people in August in Atlanta, and we'll sit around the pool and play guitar, sing songs till they make us stop.
That's so cool. I am so happy for you, and congratulations on your nominations. And I'm looking forward to finding out who wins.
Yeah. It's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough because there's a lot of you that have nominations that I know, and it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. But the good news is that, if I don't win, that means one of my friends won.
Right.
So that's awesome.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win situation. Michael, is there anything else that you'd like to share with everybody that I haven't touched on?
Yeah, as much as I'm somewhat complaining about being heard or not being heard. Not really complaining, but just explaining how challenging it is for an indie musician.
Sure.
One thing I want people to know is, as much as, I want you to love on an indie musician, please love on the platforms like Reel to Reel, all the stations, the podcasts, who serve as an avenue for people like me to get heard. Because as much as I want to be heard, guess what, Deb? You want to be heard as well. Okay. So right now, people are listening to both of us, so we both win.
Another win-win situation.
Yes. So you got to love on all the platforms that promote people like me, because there's a great symbiosis. I say this all the time. Without you, I have no exposure. Without me, you have no content. So guess what? We're stuck with each other.
That's it. That's right. You're not going anywhere.
That's it, Deb.
That's it. Michael, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can find you.
Yeah. Good news is that Michael Botte, Botte Band, is what I use for everything, except Twitter. It was Botte Band. But to be honest, I don't use Twitter all that much for music. But Michael Botte Band, you plug that in anywhere, and I'm going to come up.
Michael, it has been a pleasure having you on the podcast this evening. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Yeah, Deb, thank you so much. You were one of my favorites. You know that I mean when I say that, so thank you for doing this.
Thank you. That's a wrap on another episode of the R2RB podcast series. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or visit www.r2rb.com podcast for all our episodes. Know an indie artist with a story to tell? We're always looking for amazing musicians to feature. Drop us a line at info@r2rb.com and follow along with us on social media at R2RB Broadcasting on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting independent music.